Hey guys, we're going to continue ranking the weapons from the OG MegaMan series today. We're tackling MegaMan 3's weapon roster, and we'll have the previous entries' weapons up on a tier list for comparison as well. I won't be including the rush abilities because they're primarily traversal tools, but all Robot Master weapons are up for grabs. Considerations for ranking include traits like power, versatility, creativity, utility, coolness, ammo consumption, and most importantly, fun! But is the third time the charm for these weapons, or do they belong up somebody's arsenal? Let's jump in and find out. Shockingly, the Spark Shock takes up the rear, probably because it belongs in somebody's rear. It halts enemies in place like the Ice Slasher from Mega Man 1. But unlike that one, you can't switch weapons to mess them up while they're constipated. No lava flows to freeze either, because how is electricity gonna freeze anything? It's chemically impossible! There are a few enemies you could zap to sneak on past them all coward-like, but you might as well use one of the stronger weapons at that point. I just don't get how they screwed this one up, especially since the Ice Slasher from 2 games prior did a better job than this. Shockingly disappointing. This blown fuse goes straight to the bottom of F tier. A substantial step up from this is the Gemini laser. This laser bounces off the walls like a baby 300 lollipop steep and does great damage against enemies. Unfortunately, there can only be one on screen at a time, turning its bouncy nature into more of a punishment for missing than a useful extra chance to hit your target. Bouncing around like a maniac? What a Gemini. It's a solid weapon overall, but could be better, so it goes to the top of C tier. C for could be better. Speaking of powerful weapons, up next is the Hard Knuckle. This mighty fist of death slowly but surely approaches its opponent to give him a knuckle sandwich, and one-punches most large enemies. You can guide it slightly up or down to course correct too, and like the crash bomb before it, this smacker obliterates destructible walls to reach hidden goodies. Though there is this awkward delay between firing it and the lazy hand actually getting up to do its job, making it occasionally tricky to use. Still a really good option overall, and a more viable offensive option than the crash bomb, so it moves ahead of it in B tier. I can't help but be drawn to the magnet missile. There's something magnetic and attractive about it. Seriously though, this lovely homing device is a lot of fun to use, as it yeets ahead full steam before pivoting if it spots anything trying to sneak by its haunches. That being said, this ADD weapon is a little too easily distracted by worthless projectiles, and you can run out of it pretty quickly because the ammo count's too low. When you've got a weapon this fun, you just want to use it more. An almost great but distractible projectile that should have paid a little more attention in class, earning it a high B grade. Poking its way into the upper half of the list is the spiky needle cannon. Machine gun might be more accurate than cannon honestly, but this thing makes its point either way. It's great at tearing up enemies and ghostly fish eggs quickly. Lots of bosses in the game seem to be vulnerable to it as well, which makes sense. I certainly wouldn't want somebody sticking me with them. I do think it's missing a creative pop that I enjoy in my favorite Mega Man weapons though, so that lowers it below the more creative Quick Boomerang in the very respectable A tier. A for, oh, I've got a needle in my eye! Slithering into third place is the slimily seductive Search Snake. What can I say? I'm a sucker for the little creepy crawly weapons. Similar to the Bubble Lead from Mega Man 2, this one weasels its way forward on the ground, but upon reaching an upward slope, these smart little critters climb up the walls to continue their ruthless conquest. It's super satisfying to deploy these adorable minions to wreak havoc on your behalf, and while large enemies won't be fazed by snake bites, most small to medium enemies have to rush into the hospital afterwards, so it's quite effective on the whole. Another lovely A tier in my humble opinion. A for, I've been bitten by a snake! Stealthily sneaking into second place is the BeyBlade Shadow Blade. At first glance, you might think this is just a nerf of the Metal Blade, but actually, that's pretty much what it is. Which is to say that it's still great because it's still an omnidirectional blade of death, just rebalanced by giving it a boomerang effect and limiting the frequency at which you can throw them. So it's certainly a more balanced and less game-breaking weapon than its Metal Papa, but still a bit of a downgrade overall, lowering it below its progenitor to the top of A tier. Fittingly landing at the top of the pile, we have none other than the mighty, bewildering, and goofy melee attack, the Top Spin. This is definitely a hot take, but it really is a great weapon. While its ineffectiveness against larger enemies prevents it from entering S tier, it demolishes smaller enemies, a substantial number of medium-sized ones, and even a lot of the bosses. Seriously, just try it out and you'll be surprised how many foes it knocks out. Plus it's just so fun to use, and when I'm in the flow state of hopping over chasms and knocking everything the heck out of my way, it's as though I've reached a state of grace. So bring on the hate in the comments, but that won't stop me from loving this thing to death, or putting it at the very top of A tier. I expect my rankings will be fairly controversial, especially with top picks like the Search Snake and Topspin. But hey, I like what I like. I think Mega Man 3 has a really good weapon set overall. Not quite an all-timer arsenal like its immediate predecessor, but nothing to stick up anybody's arsenal either. Lots of them are clearly based on Mega Man 2 weapons like the Hard Knuckle, Needle Cannon, Search Snake, and Shadow Blade, which does knock the set back a bit in terms of creativity, but they're solid reinterpretations or rebalances of previous ideas, so it works. I do feel like a few of them, like the Gemini Laser or the Magnet Missile, could have been better balanced, but it's still an enjoyable roster nonetheless. But that's all I have for now, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.